Would you like to learn a fun new way to incorporate miso flavors into any dish?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to take a look at red miso powder and how you can make an easy miso soup and even a cod fritter profiterole. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Now here on WTF, every week we talk about really unique ingredients, techniques, and share ways that you can do them in your own kitchen. So remember, subscribe, ring the bell, and you'll get notified of our content when it comes out on Tuesdays. And this week, we are going to be focusing on a new product that's called red miso powder. Of course, many of us have had miso already, so we're excited to share with you how you can use miso powder to enhance your recipes. We are also continuing to do our awesome giveaways, so remember, leave a comment below for the next 2 weeks, and then we will select one winner who will get a 400-gram bag of red miso powder to play with. Yay! Super exciting. All right, so let's get into maybe a little bit of, before we even get into miso powder, let's get into what is miso and how is it made?
Yeah, so we see miso on recipes and we see miso in the grocery store, but not a lot of people understand how it's made. So basically it's boiled soybeans and then it's mixed with koji. And koji is something we've talked about here, and we actually sell koji. So you can find those links in the description below. And what you do is you allow those to ferment. So the koji kind of takes over and it starts breaking down the soybeans, and it creates all different wonderful flavors. That's why there's so much umami in miso, but it takes about 6 to 12 months to really develop that flavor, and then you can keep it for even longer. Like I have a 5-year-old miso that I'm just hanging on to, and it just keeps getting more and more complex, but that's a long process, you know, for something that you want to use relatively quickly.
Yeah, and typically in most grocery stores and restaurants, what we see it is a white miso powder, or sorry, white miso, not white miso powder. What is the difference between a white miso and a red miso?
So a different type of bean generally is going to be used, but also a different type of koji. So koji comes in many different types, but the ones that we carry, shirayuri and shiragiku. One is made for white, white miso or sake types, and shiragiku is going to be used for darker, more rich, roasty, flavorful things. So.
Yeah, and speaking of rich, roasty flavors, what do you think about the flavor profile of the red miso powder?
So we try a lot of different powders. We try fruits and acids and all different types of powder. And I really love this one because it's multidimensional, right? So you get a bit of acidity from it. You get that umami. You get the saltiness. It's rather than, you just kind of get one, which is common with something that is something like a fruit. It's going to be sweet, right? Or something like a vinegar powder. It's going to be acidic. But this one, you get so many different flavors from it.
Yeah. And of course, for someone who's watching who's like, well, you've sold me, I love miso, but how do I use miso powder?
So it can be used in many different ways. Anywhere you want to add a rich, roasty flavor, you can add miso powder. And if you're going to be adding it to a soup, right, you don't have to take the miso and mix it right in. You can just mix in the miso powder right at the end, and it's going to be extremely easy to make something like a miso soup, which we've made here. Also, we made different types of batter. So we made like a fritter batter, and then we also made a choux paste, pat a choux, cream puff, things like that. We just mixed it right in. It doesn't change the recipe anymore. You can usually substitute out salt and put in the miso powder, and you're going to get that rich, roasty miso flavor. We were even able to cure egg yolks in it, which we don't have here, but yeah, definitely stay tuned because that's going to be coming down the line. We were able to cure egg yolks in it, so you get so much, like a big pop of umami flavor from a cured egg yolk that you can use as garnish and things like that. So.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like it's a great way to kind of just, enhance and add savoriness and add layers to. It doesn't, I'm assuming not everything screams like, I've put miso in this.
Yeah, exactly. Like this has a lot of miso powder in it, but it's just an extremely rich flavor that you're going to get from something that, cod, which doesn't have a ton of glutamic acid or that umami flavor, you're going to get a lot of umami from what we're making here. So.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get into the demo shortly, but I just really want to cover one thing that's a common question that comes up a lot when we talk about powders, which is when you reconstitute it, do you just get miso soup? Because I see we have the soup here, and I've tasted it, it's delicious, but you're not getting like grains of miso, like you're not getting that miso.
Yeah, so miso soup.
right?
Some people think it's just miso and water, and there's a lot more depth to a miso soup, right? It's a dashi broth that then you flavor with miso. So you're going through all those steps, and then you add the miso powder. So if you're just going to add water to the miso powder, you're not going to get miso. It's not going to be the exact same thing.
Okay.
You could probably make a paste or make a glaze or anything like that, but you're never going to get a jar full of miso.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But although this soup is absolutely delicious, we did have it earlier. It's super nice, and I loved it. All right, what do we have here?
All right, so we're going to be making a fritter, and basically we took the idea of a miso glazed cod, which is a very popular dish, and we wanted to make a miso cod fritter.
Ooh.
So we made pâte à choux, which is basically what cream puffs and eclairs are made out of, but they can also be made savory. We took that and we added equal parts of that, cod, and boiled potato, or mashed potato pretty much. So we're going to make a really nice delicate fritter. Then we took the rest of the pâte à choux and we made little cream puffs. And remember, this has the red miso powder, so you see like that nice kind of golden dark brown, but the inside is perfectly cooked. You get an extremely rich roasty flavor. Then we put a few of our favorite things. We put a little bit of a slaw in there, so it's like fish sauce, sugar, lime juice, and a little bit of sambal. And then we have our favorite dressing, which is our scallion dressing, which you can find on the butter poached lobster roll. Link in the description below.
Very good recipe too.
Yeah, so
Love it.
we can do a bunch of different things, but we're going to make these really beautiful fritters. So right now, I'm just going to get some. You don't have to make them perfect. They don't have to be like a perfect quenelle like this. But one thing I'm going to tell you to do whenever you're frying anything like this, I let it fry for a few seconds before I knock it off the spoon. And the reason why I do that is that sometimes it sinks to the bottom, especially if you're not using like a commercial grade fryer. And then it sticks to the bottom, and then you're not left with a fritter, you're left with a mess. So,
Pro tip from Scott.
that's just a tip from making a million mistakes. So, let it cook for a few seconds. Boom,
It
we're gonna
smells
allow it to
really
go.
good already.
Yeah, so it's a very simple thing to put together. We wanted to show you as many ways as possible today on how you can use this to really just enhance flavors rather than just to, sprinkle it on top of something, right? And then obviously a very simple technique, which is the miso soup, which you make a miso soup and you add as much miso as you want to it. So it's very simple. So these are just going to fry for a little bit.
Yeah, I love how you incorporated it into like a baked good too, which you normally wouldn't think about. And you cannot do that with regular miso, but now you can with miso powder.
Yeah, exactly. If you wanted to make a savory, style filled cream puff or eclair, you could absolutely do that. But it doesn't just stop at that. You can then use it for pretty much any baking recipe. Like I said, it doesn't replace salt as in like it's an alternative to salt because it is salt. There is salt in it. So you can then take it out and put it in place just to get more of a roasty flavor, kind of like I spoke about earlier. Right, so I'm going to let these cook for just a little bit longer. They're already nice and golden brown, frying at about 350. Yeah, just a little bit longer. Remember, there is some potato in there, so they can tend to be nice and delicate, so you don't want to pull them out too early.
Okay.
But if you want to taste one of those, Janie, we can have you taste them, and when these are done, we can build one on camera.
Okay. Ooh, they're so light and fluffy.
Right, and it is a fried and baked item, so it can sometimes feel like it's going to be, too rich, too savory, but it's nice and light.
It's a super light. It's like you're eating a savory little miso cloud.
Yeah. It makes like a nice
so
hors d'oeuvre too,
Yeah.
There's a lot of different techniques in there, but if you give those to people, they'll be very excited about it. I would hope so.
It's very hard to kind of describe exactly what the miso powder adds to it, but it's definitely like you eat it and you're like, oh, what's that like really nice flavor in there? But
Right.
if you didn't know it was miso powder, you can't identify it, and it really lasts. It kind of just stays on your palate. I love this. It's so good.
That's really nice. So like I said, we have our scallion dressing. I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom here of each one of these. You don't want to overdo it. This is pretty flavorful, so you don't want to take away from the miso. Then we're just going to pick up these fritters. Put them right on top. And like I said, simple. You have everything done, easy to do. A little bit of the slaw on top. And that's it. Don't need too much of this. juice in there, but.
It's like a perfect hors d'oeuvre or passing food.
Yeah.
I like, like a wedding or something like that.
And it's not just the basic
good.
cantaloupe wrapped in prosciutto, which is also wonderful, and we did a take on that as well. But something different, something cool, something fun. Everyone loves little slider type foods. So.
Yeah, it is so yummy. All right, so hopefully what we're doing today is that we're just showing you a few of the possibilities of red miso powder. If you do happen to win the grand prize of a whole bag of it, or if you decide to purchase some and try it out yourself, hopefully you're going to use it in lots of great new recipes, and then leave your comments below and tell us what you came up with, because I'm sure we haven't tapped everything.
No, we have not.
Yeah, by no means. So we're super excited to share this new product with you. You can get it right now at modernistpantry.com. You can see Scott making this from start to finish on our Instagram at Modernist Pantry right now, or it will be up on this channel in a couple of days. So from here in the test kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you get notified when we drop a new video.
To get today's recipes and all of our recipes, remember to go to blog.modernistpantry.com, where you'll get recipes, ask a chefs, tips and tricks, and more.
And if you haven't already, tell a friend so they know what's going on here at WTF.
And as always, to get any of the ingredients you saw today, you can go to modernistpantry.com to shop.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen helping you create memorable and magical experiences.